Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Cult Classic Podcast. Cameron Jones here, along with my co-host,
Jordan Jones.
We're kind of getting in a fallish mood right now. It's been kind of gloomy around here, so we wanted to kind of keep it that theme and also go back to school for you. So we're doing the Arnold Shwartzenager movie, Kindergarten Cop.
Kindergarten Cop.
Renegade police officer John Kimble is a man who isn't afraid to get his hands dirty to take down criminals. After years of pursuing career criminal by the name of Crisp, he has to go undercover in his most dangerous mission yet, teaching kindergarten. Will Kimble be able to locate his nemesis ex-wife and her young child before Crisp? Arnold Shwartzenager does it again in this family-friendly action comedy.
This is the crossover movie. If you want Jingle all the way, you gotta get through Kindergarten Cop first.
This is Arnold taking a break from his main action roles and trying to get into a family-friendly feel. You know, all the action stars do it.
This is a PG-13 movie, and it deserves to be.
Directed by Ivan Reitman, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, Penelope Ann Miller, Pamela Reed, Linda Hint, Richard Tyson, Carol Baker, Joseph Cousins, and Christian Cousins. Kindergarten Cop. All right, casting crew, directed by Ivan Reitman, Canadian producer-director, famously Ghostbusters, also had his hands on Up in the Air, I Love You Man, and Disturbia, the Shia LaBeouf movie. Go back and check out our episode of that.
Up in the Air is son-directed, so maybe he produced it.
Well, I think some of those are producer credits, yeah.
Directed Groundhog's Day, had a partnership, working collaboration with Bill Murray for a handful of years before they had a falling out. There you go.
Starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, of course, as John Kimble. You know who he is. He's the governor. But also, Terminator, Predator. Go back and see Jingle All the Way, our episode on that also. But Twins with Danny DeVito. What's your favorite Arnold? Judgment Day, probably?
It's Judgment Day. It's the best.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else.
If we take that one away, if we take that one off the table, because I think you have to,
mm-hmm.
I have a soft spot in my heart for the first Predator.
Okay, actually,
that's like my favorite, his action one.
I actually might agree with that, but that's probably incepted just through you, I'd imagine.
But Terminator 2 by far is just clear cut, you know.
We have Penelope Ann Miller playing Joyce, the teacher, love interest, ex-wife of Crisp. She has a lot of TV credits. She's pretty much stayed relevant. There's not a lot of things I would have seen. Criminal Minds, Riverdale, American Crime. She was in The Artist, though, the Oscar-nominated or Oscar winner from a few years back.
Yeah, I bet we don't know her character's name.
No, but she was like one of the leading, actually,
okay, cool.
Credited.
Sneaky fact about Jordan Jones. I have that from my Netflix days where they sent you in the mail a DVD,
mm-hmm.
and I lied to them and I said I lost it, and I moved with it to Cedar Rapids.
And they're gonna
I have that currently. I've never watched it yet.
Nice. Pamela Reed plays Phoebe, his partner. You might know her from The Simpsons, playing Ruth Powers. She voiced that. Just an insane amount of TV, NCIS LA, or Los Angeles, Criminal Minds, Parks and Rec, Grey's Anatomy.
She's playing the detective type.
Yeah, she does have a familiar face, and I've seen her in things, but it's just years of TV.
Yeah.
We have Linda Hint playing Miss Schlowski, the principal. Also, just an absurd amount of TV, a lot of cop shows, NCIS Los Angeles. She was in Solo, a Star Wars story. This actually hit for me. She's the narrator in God of War, the video game series. This will hit for you, though. She's also in Stranger Than Fiction, apparently, somewhere.
Jeez, I'm trying to picture in Stranger
Than Fiction. I can't. She's also on Nip Tuck. A lot of TV.
She's familiar. She's a character actress. I like her in pretty much everything I do. She's very small, very petite.
Reminds me of Edna Mode from The Incredibles. We have Richard Tyson playing Crisp. This is actually super interesting. He maybe had the most credits out of everybody. He's done an absurd amount of action movies and TV that I've never heard of. But
he looks like generic goo number one.
Kind of. But here's what's even crazier. He has 20 credits coming out.
Crisp is the villain, right?
Yeah.
The ponytail
He has 20 credits coming out of the last 2 years projects he's been working on. So he has a slated project of a shit ton for 2022.
COVID's been good for him.
I guess. I don't know what he's making because I've never heard of any of the titles, but he's been busy. Let's see, just to list some. We have War of Power, Mummy Dearest, Acts of Revenge, and then just a ton of other action-y kind of titles like that.
I guess the one I'm most excited from, based off title alone, is Mummy Dearest.
Mummy Dearest, yeah, it's a horror mummy thing.
Yeah, come on.
From what the title looked like or the
So, stay tuned for our episode on Mummy Dearest in the near future.
Carol Baker plays Eleanor Crisp, his mother. She was on Roswell, Chicago Hope, L.A. Law, Murder, She Wrote. A lot of TV. And then finally, the last one I have here for the actors, we have Joseph Cousins and Christian Cousins. They're a set of twins playing Dominic, the son. He did a little bit of child acting, Critters 3, Twin Sisters, The Best of Dr. Seuss, and a bunch of other just kid stuff. But it looks like he stopped there.
I'll give a little shout out. Jason Reitman, Ivan Reitman's son, who is a director now, did Up in the Air, the most recent Ghostbusters.
So I'm guessing he was just the producer on it then. A lot of the later credits have been producing, so a lot of
I think he produced all of his kids' early works. But anyway, he was the kids making out at the end of the movie during the fire. Mm-hmm. That was Jason Reitman.
Oh, nice. Music by Randy Edelman. You would also know him from Ghostbusters. He did a lot of the Beethoven kids movies. I think he did all of them actually, the dog movies. He did Shanghai Nights, Miss Congeniality, Triple X, Anaconda, but not all these are composers. Some of these he was just a musician in the orchestra, and some of these he was the composer. But if you look at his work, he's worked on a ton of movies, not as a conductor, composer, or just straight up musician. He's had his fingers in somewhere. But that's pretty much for the cast and crew. I mean, we're not going to touch on the kids too much because it's just a pain in the ass. Who cares? It was a lot of local kids anyway.
Some of the kids did other things.
Yeah,
some of
the kids you did recognize, but I mean, we'll get to it maybe later. Maybe
in all honesty, and this is no insult to any of the actors in it, it's Arnold and everybody else.
That's kind of true. So with that, let's move it on to Unverified. Welcome to the Cult Classic Movie Phone. The date is December 1990, and currently in theaters, you could have seen Howling 6, the 6 of the werewolf movies, Terminator 2, Judgment Day, also in theaters the same month.
What?
The Godfather Part 3, Edward Scissorhands, also in theaters that December. Look Who's Talking 2, and
I think that's called Look Who's Talking Now.
Nope, Look Who's Talking TOO.
Oh, yeah, there might be a third one.
Yeah, I think there is. And The Rookie with Clint Eastwood and Charlie Sheen, but you chose to see Kindergarten Cop. And you maybe should have seen Terminator 2 or Edward Scissorhands, but whatever.
All three of those movies might be rated PG-13.
And honestly, there were like 15 other movies. Some I knew, but there was actually a shit ton out this December.
Not a bad time. Bad time. So what do we have for Unverified?
Right. Of all of Arnold's movies, he has stated that this was his favorite role as it was a departure from his typical action hero, and he also loved working with the children.
So it turns out putting on hours and hours of makeup and wearing no clothes is a bummer.
I imagine.
And he's like, I just got to wear sports blazers and yell at kids.
Yeah, it didn't seem too bad.
I didn't even have to shoot half of my scenes with
Although
them.
He did say also, I didn't write this down, but on Verified, that the first day he was very much like his character, that he was sweating quite a bit because he was nervous being around all those kids because he was out of his element.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I'm glad he didn't say this is his favorite movie. Like that the outcome he's saying this
his
is
favorite
the best
role.
one I enjoyed making.
This was his best role, he thinks.
Speaking of the kids, most of them were local kids from Astoria, and I've got to say the movie felt very amateur for the acting of the kids. They seemed like natural kids.
There's like two or three that you clearly know are kid actors, and one of them I forget on Verified. It's her first movie. The girl who has to pee, I think it's hers.
The girl that has to pee ends up in Beethoven later.
Same Ivan Wright again. Same director, same composer, same kind of company.
The kid that goes, boys have penises and girls have vagina. I remember him from some Full House episodes and other kid shows around that time.
At the time for sure.
So those were the main ones, but you could tell a lot of them weren't. And for their efforts, they got paid $35 a day.
That seems underpaid, but whatever. Good for them. While filming in Oregon, Arnold gave a surprise commencement speech at Astoria High School. Wonder what that was about, and like
in 1990.
Yeah, in 1990, not
years later.
No, I think that year he's like, "Hey, I'm in town. What's going on?
What's going on? Everybody, come out and see my film."
Essentially,
Judgment. I mean, Terminator 2 probably didn't need the nudge.
No, but he did have to leave shooting once or twice, I think, to film it wasn't makeup shoots, but like just trailer and promo spots for T2.
So if this school and area looks familiar, it is in Oregon, the Oregon coast. The elementary school was just a few blocks away from the Goonies house.
I did read that one too. That's crazy. I didn't put any sort of connection like that together, but I mean, it makes sense. Locations, you know.
At the end scene of the movie, when they're doing their like end of the school year fair, the coastline, and I know a lot of the Oregon coast looks like Goonies, but so did this, and it very well might have been the Goonies coast. Spread that one out if you could take anything from it.
It was 1.6 miles away, or it's a 3-minute, I imagine, drive. So that's how close it is.
Yeah, that would not be that long a ride. Let's say ballpark 20-minute walk. Yeah. We're saying 20 minutes, maybe 45-minute walk.
So this one's actually kind of interesting. So why Terminator 2 was out at the same time is because Kindergarten Cop was postponed until Christmas because Ivan Reitman was still working on Ghostbusters 2, and he just needed a little more time post-production stuff.
God, man, Ivan Reitman was busy. I actually forget. I did not know he directed this, or I had forgotten.
I had no idea he was connected to this either.
In the scenes where Kimble asked the kids where their daddy goes for a living, the answers were not scripted from the kids, and in fact, the kids answered what their real fathers did. And again, it felt very much like that.
And some of those answers were sad too.
Were dark.
My dad watches TV all day. How do you feel being that parent? Like, oof, this doesn't look good for me.
They're like, hey, could you cut that out? It's like, sign the release form. We gave your kid $35 a day. You shut up and you enjoy
and if you don't
movie.
Speak Spanish, if you're wondering what the Spanish-speaking girl says, she says, my dad works from home and he plays with me a lot. And then they all laugh at her for that, which is aged weird.
What a stupid little kid.
Owning a pet ferret, as Kimble does, is actually illegal in California, and it is a ban that Governor Arnold Schwartzenegger supported.
Man, that's just ironic.
I mean, ferrets seem like they seem bitey.
Again, everybody bookmark this. If you hadn't seen the movie for a while, get ready to hear me talk about ferrets quite a bit.
I can't wait.
That's going to be coming out. I had completely forgotten that was a plot point in that. So when Kimble handcuffs a witness to the corpse, at the opening scene of the movie, that corpse murder, it turns out that there's regulations for every police forcing. Wait, what are we? You're not supposed to do that, but I'm guessing that John Kimble broke a few laws.
Oh, he was definitely shooting some warning shots close to people and punching. He was a little excessive. We'll get to that in a second, though. So what do you think of this? A possible alternate ending would have had Kimble shot and killed by Eleanor Crisp. I imagine in the shower, and he's like, no, she just bam, 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 just kills him.
I feel like that's how he played it anyway.
That's kind of true, but that would...
He's like, oh, you rewrote it?
Pretty dark for
I'm not dying anymore?
Family-friendly December movie, though. Wow. That'd be dark.
Arnold Schwartzenegger demanded, as a condition to his participation in the movie, and this is a long one, that at least an hour of time was blocked off every day so he could work out, and that a fully equipped gym was provided to him. This kind of sounds
like a requirement everywhere he goes, though. You know what I mean? So,
yeah, I feel like there's many trickle-down things, but this is what The Rock's doing nowadays. Yeah. I feel like
here's the unverified of it, though. Did you see the second part?
Oh, hit it up.
When he arrived at Astoria, he noticed they didn't have a gym provided for him, and he threatened to drop out of the film immediately. So then a group of local Astoria businessmen cobbled together a gym for him in the local high school out of their equipment. So the community was like, "Oh, don't leave, Arnold. We'll get you a gym."
Oh God, we need this.
They supplied all the equipment for him in the high school.
I can neither confirm or deny if tourism to Astoria rose or not, but that's two movies.
I think it already has some good tourism, and I think Goonies is probably bringing it there, if anything, or someone else. Hocus Pocus.
Let me just check the box office on this. I'm more than curious. This may take me a second, so if you want to fill in any time with ferret talk.
I feel like it couldn't be great just because, there were a lot of good things in theaters at that time. Granted, it is your family-friendly seeming thing around Christmas, though, so this could be a surprise.
Yeah, but Cameron...
T2 in Edward Scissorhands. What'd it do?
Yeah, but you got a movie star. I'm reading $202 million, so maybe that's total. And again, that's
what they spent, or that's what it made?
No, that's what it made.
Well, that's pretty good.
And I am still using Wikipedia.
Nice. Go back and listen to our other episodes.
Go back and listen
to what we're talking about.
Or stay tuned for all of mine. So, geez, Wikipedia. $202 million box office. That seems like I didn't find the right number.
Well, it does seem pretty good, but I don't know. 2 movies out at the same time probably helped.
I mean, it was Arnold. He was a huge movie star at the time.
So this movie actually did have a lot of interesting facts, and I kind of just gave up midway through. But it's not like a crazy beloved movie, but it had an absurd amount on it. So if there's anything else we're missing, feel free to write in our social media and just let us know. But we're going to move on to questions,
comments,
animosities.
Questions,
comments,
Okay, so off the bat, just first comment, if Arnold is tailing Crisp at the beginning of the movie, he is suspicious as shit. He's wearing a big trench coat, sunglasses, and he's like 6'2" and a hulking guy. Like, he's not being that suspicious at all. I don't think he's a good cop.
I don't know whether he's a good cop or not. I do know that he's a bad undercover cop. Yes, he's drawing attention to himself. But more importantly, along that lines, guys, when's the last time you all saw this movie? Do you remember there's a beginning before he becomes a kindergarten cop? I barely remember it.
And it's quite violent. There's just a murder right off the bat.
There is a murder in this PG-13. It does say there's violence and brief nudity. It said before that. I did not see the nudity. Let me know if you see the nudity. I assume it happens maybe briefly during that sex scene with Arnold's partner and her fiance.
Oh yeah, that's what we're talking about. Yeah, that makes sense.
Pretty dark beginning to the movie.
And I do remember reading that Ivan Reitman wanted it to be a little darker, and they had to pull back. So I don't know why he was pushing it so much.
The thing I noticed, this is so Cameron and I are both millennials. This is why if you don't like the way we are the way we are, because this was a family flick.
Yeah, so it's your
You
guys'
can see
fault.
this. I believe we got heroin dealers, murders, a murderous grandma.
Oh, and just a comment, they were really pushing the slick 90s ponytail, more so for a villain, but you probably
Holy
knew karate
shit.
if you had long slick hair and a ponytail for some reason.
How long do we have to talk about this ponytail?
All day, baby.
That's all I want to talk about.
I never thought about it. What is that weird correlation with I wear a suit and have a ponytail, so I knew karate in the 90s?
I think you just did. There's a
You
lot,
just
you know.
do.
It was a
Steven
hip-hop
Seagal,
area.
everybody. Everyone just knew it.
The bad guy in this, Crisp, is so goon number one generic. I can't believe he's a main character.
Yeah, his face does kind of just seem henchmanish. And again, he maybe has the most credits out of everybody, just maybe not the best ones.
His ponytail is as iconic in all the movies we've done.
Mm-hmm.
I would throw this ponytail up there with being as distracting and beautiful as the saxophone player from Lost Boys. I don't know why we're okay. Maybe I'm going off.
That guy's a whole other level.
It's not a mullet. It's not a mullet, but it's definitely business in the front and ponytail in the back. So you tell me.
Would look like draped down though, because he clearly has the sides like shaved to be like that clean 90s cut still, you know?
Yeah, sides are short. It's almost a tapered look in the front, but there's definitely a ponytail in the back.
Oh, sure is.
Does it add to the movie? It might make the movie.
Okay. Wow.
I can't get along with it. I thought to myself, all right, and again, you're probably not going to remember the movie that well, but one of the plot points is Crisp is looking for his kid at the end because he hasn't seen him.
I mean, if you don't remember that, that's the whole plot of the movie.
I don't know what anybody's going to remember from this movie because if it was Jordan, if you're like me, it was I'm not a Tuma. It's not a Tuma. That's really what I was working with here. Anyway, hear me out. If I was a sketch writer to this time, I'd do the kindergarten cop sketch. Mm-hmm. And when Crisp is looking for his kid in the classroom, you would see a kid with that exact same hairdo. I'd be like, that's it. That's my boy. I couldn't get on. I'm so enamored by the ponytail. It is so much.
Okay, we'll probably circle back to it, but I'm going to get us off that.
Okay, sorry. That's it.
A couple comments, kind of animosity, but also just today, that German cop out of uniform pulling a gun in the mall would not go down like that. But just in general, him being an undercover police officer is so... What super specific undercover thing did we bring him over for? There's a German bar. We think there's
you're saying because he's Austrian or whatever his descent is.
It seems like it'd be
Austrian,
very hard to get him in undercover situations. He just sticks out so much.
Well, that's my whole thing with not only just in this role, but casting him as anything that's not the Terminator or Predator. Right. It doesn't make sense. This guy's
it's the same as The Rock. It's gotten weird. It's gotten to the point where we're desensitized enough now a little bit because he's just been making so many movies. But it's odd when you take a second to look at him in a movie. He's huge.
Isn't it crazy that in today's standard, because The Rock has gotten so non-human, and most like action stars or superheroes, that Arnold actually looks realistic?
Normal. Yeah, he looks just
sort
like
of normal, which he definitely wasn't at the time. I mean,
he just looks like a guy that goes to the gym a lot. You bump into those guys on the street sometimes.
It looks like science isn't as involved. There may be some like behind the counter alley stuff like roids, but science isn't involved.
Definitely
in his body.
And also just on that, we probably should say the whole renegade cop beating everybody up and like shooting and just punching is definitely aged different. But for some reason, when it's still just like Arnold and like it's so campy and over the top, it doesn't, I don't know, doesn't age poorly for me really.
There's no realism to this violence.
Yeah, that's why essentially.
I felt like because of the lighting. It's very kid-friendly lighting, which is like a balanced look, not many stylistic shadows or whatever. It feels like we're watching a stunt show most of the time.
Kind of. But like
that's what it feels like.
Like he just walks in at the
Universal
beginning
Studio.
to get that first witness and just starts shooting into like the couches and around everybody. Like
he shoots a lot.
Yeah, it just throws like that dad he punches. Like he's gonna press charges against him now. Like it's gonna be the other way
later
around
on in the movie.
Oh yeah. Can't just be throwing punches willy nilly.
Yeah, but everybody liked it because that kid's beating his kid. Put a side note on that. I want to talk about all the very adult themes happening in that.
Oh,
and child abuse is definitely one of them. That if we don't get back to, hey, check that out in the movie. There's some child abuse stuff going on.
That was another thing that Arnold wanted in the movie. He said if he wanted to be part of it, him and Ivan agreed that they wanted more realistic family issues brought into it, dysfunction.
Realistic dysfunction. I thought this was the sequel to Kramer versus Kramer. We were dealing with so many separated families and divorce. When those kids were talking about their families and their dads, I'm like, whoa.
That is a weird wrench to throw in there. They're like, oh, don't you know we're the single mother capital of the world? Good luck finding the mom here.
No shit. It was a very, if you recall, Once John becomes the kindergarten teacher, which I think that there's a ridiculous amount of things that happen. Actually, here's an animosity. His partner gets food poisoning, and then that's the reason he has to go undercover as a kindergarten teacher.
Yeah, but you know what's even more stupid? She later says, "Oh, it's just a stomach flu," but he was around her the whole time. Like he's gonna have it too. And also, just going off that, she's fine in like a day, 2 days, a day and a half, 2 days. They're acting like it's not impossible to have another substitute teacher. I've definitely had multiple subs while a teacher's out. They're not going to care. No one's going to pay attention or care.
But on top of that, I think they just fired the teacher. Just let her teach a couple. What happened to her?
That's the biggest animosity.
This is a question. That's my biggest question.
So at the beginning, she's like, she's like, I just had to let this teacher go of 25 years. But it seems like she's like, you're only going to be here for 3 to 5 days. Why'd she have to do that? And then at the end, the principal totally throws that old teacher under the bus just by being like,
Get the fuck out of her.
Yeah, we totally want John Kimble, the person who just made these kindergartens militant and just...
Hey, Susan, shut the fuck up. John's back.
Oh,
you don't know him, but
you
he's
were the
awesome.
worst. We love John.
We love him so much.
They just hired a piece of eye candy. I think that's all they did, Jordan.
Speaking of eye candy, this school that John goes to is, Cameron said it, the movie says it, the single mom capital of the world. I don't know what that's all about. I assume they're all just ex-drug dealers' wives or like wife beaters. I don't know.
That close to the ocean, I think it's just seamen who have been lost to sea is what I'm going to hypothesize.
Oh, I got more meth heads or something like that.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's more like that too.
Your dad's in France. Your dad died a hero, whatever. Quite a bit of thirsty moms, though. Everybody's trying to get this.
Jordan, he's 1990 Arnold Schwarzenegger in the most widowed town in America. Yeah.
I agree, but and this is no shade. But he is just a kindergarten teacher.
Yeah, I know.
Like, that's not that baller.
He's sensitive, and he's huge, Jordan. Think of all the perks.
Yeah, I feel like the huge is the big part.
The last thing that Arnold did want to have in the movie as a condition, he wanted to make sure that he made the kids, the whole militant thing, that's an Arnold thing that he included in the script.
You mean one of the biggest plot points of the movie?
Well, no, like he was gonna
his
get
his whole teaching style.
He was gonna get them in line, but it was Arnold's idea to make it a militant drill sergeant style. He wanted it to be like that because he wanted a physical exertion component to it, kind of as a positive message to kids to like be active.
I heard he came up to Ivan Reitman. He's like, "Do you want me to say a lot of lines, or do you want me to blow this whistle?" He's like, "Let's go with the fucking whistle."
Touche.
That's what we're gonna do. That's a good call, Arnold. We'll take that because we had a lot of dialogue we had to cut for this. I do want to go. And this is not even a big part of the movie, but I want to trace back to his to Arnold's undercover work.
Mm-hmm.
His beard was distracting to me. He had a lot of stubble because
but I liked it. As much as I say he stuck out.
Was it real or was it fake?
Oh, it's real. I think it's just we're not used to seeing him like that.
Okay, just a good look.
You know what? Now when we see him with facial hair, I've only seen him with facial hair since it's been white now, so we never saw him.
Since he's like an old man age.
Yeah, so we never saw him with that like actual like dark beard kind of, you know?
Okay, so we're pro beard. I was pro it.
Honestly, as much as he stuck out at the beginning, I love the look. He looked great.
Okay, just a bad undercover look. He's 6 foot.
No, it's just
how
too
tall
much.
is he?
6'2" and like
6'2", probably 260-pound, ripped
Austrian man.
Mr. Universe Austrian man.
Undercover. Trickled down on Verified, but this was actually the first movie that Arnold spoke German in, and what he says is.
It's when he's carrying out a kid, right?
When he's carrying his partner in, and he says, "I'm mad. Now I'm really mad." Is essentially what he says. Is the translation.
I thought I might have heard a little German or Austrian when they were coming out during the fire drill.
Well, maybe, but this was just the first movie that he ever actually spoke in his native language.
Okay, cool. The Last?
No, there's like 2 other movies where he gets like a scheisse kind of. I don't know what he says, but he has other things like that.
This is a huge departure into what obviously is some more friendly family fare that we're going to get down the line, like Jingle All the Way or Junior.
I'm not a pervert.
Check
out our episode of Jingle All the Way.
He wasn't doing that before this.
No.
Would you agree?
Yeah, I'm like, this might be like his first leap into like the most acting he's had to do, maybe. Would you say that?
Yeah, but in all honesty, I did watch this. The character works has already gotten some more realistic scenes in action. He still didn't talk all that much in this movie.
No.
It's still an Arnold performance.
Yeah, I mean, it hasn't changed much. I mean, it's always been the same.
Okay. The performance was great. I enjoyed it.
Throwaway comment. I would go with the Jack Black, Mr. Schneebly style of substitute teaching, where it would just be recess all the time. Like the first day when he's just grilling the kids for information, that's all I'd be doing. Why go through the motions, you know?
Well, he's not there to teach, Cameron, or pretend to teach.
That's what I'm saying. Why does he go through all the motions? Like, just get the information, get the intel.
Because he sat down with the principal of the school, and she's like, "You're going to teach these goddamn kids, right?"
Oh, biggest animosity of the entire film. Why can't he be more forthcoming? Like, if it's true, like, there's at that moment, no one is in immediate danger. Why wouldn't he just be like, "Oh, there's a mom who moved here. She had a dangerous husband. He's in jail, but she might be a character witness. But has anyone moved here recently in the last 5 years with a kid?"
I think it's the language barrier. I think he's an Austrian.
Sure.
You just can't have that conversation. I don't know.
It seems like the police would have to and want to work in coordination with the school. I don't think they could just secretly do all this.
If we're doing biggest animosity plot point, it truly is that Arnold's character should never have been the teacher. It should have been his partner. She should have been a couple days rest, and then she should have been doing the investigation.
Yeah, like
she would have done better.
Like worst case scenario, just have that teacher keep teaching for 2 days. Like, oh, we have to push it back.
Yeah,
that's all.
It seems like the principal would have been super lenient with it.
Yeah, no problem with that. Just question. So he's just leaving the ferret in his car and in his jacket like he's Hagrid this whole time?
Okay, we got to explain this a little more in case you don't remember a ferret in this. On John's first day of teaching. Holy shit, I haven't seen this movie maybe since I was a kid. I can tell you, I did watch it with Megan. She remembered everything. So she's like, "You didn't remember a ferret?" I'm like, I gotta be honest, I didn't remember a ferret. So I'll just give a little refresher for the listener at home.
There's a ferret.
There's a ferret. Enough said, you get it. Just ferret shit.
John Kimble has a ferret.
On John's first day of teaching, he couldn't get the class corralled. It was a nightmare. So he's like, "I'll be right back." He didn't say that, but he might have grunted it. He goes to his car.
No, what he does is he just runs out of the room. And initially, my first comment was like, did he just leave those children? But no, he just came back with a wild ferret that up until that point, we didn't know lived in the back of his car. Oh, no, we do. Okay.
Oh, no, that's not even the most of it. He flew from Los Angeles to Oregon somewhere, I assume. Probably their capital. So he traveled with, and this is ahead of the time, I believe, a live ferret in his duffel bag.
We definitely don't see a cage. And even like the classroom, it's just like in a basket. Like, and the kids just keep it on him. It's just a loose ferret. There's got to be ferret shit all over that classroom. And his car.
And all over his duffel bag.
Yeah, just everywhere. Anywhere he's had the ferret, his jacket.
Anyway, I don't know why there's a ferret in this movie. It does save the day at the end, briefly. I guess that's how we are able to murder the bad guy.
Sure.
But sure, yeah, just if you didn't remember there's a ferret, hit me up on Instagram or our social media. Email us at coldclassicspodcast@gmail.com.
So question, do you think the parents were actually pretty stoked? Because I'm sure like it's not mentally the best thing for the kids just to be yelled at. But that first day when Arnold was like, shut up, you will do what I say. When their kids went home just quiet and respectful, do you think the parents were like, oh, nice?
I think the answer to that is the parents were so thirsty, and I mean that in a
That's
sexual
true.
term. They could have done anything with their shitty kids. They needed a strong male figure in the house, and they wanted it. I mean, how many single moms were there? Like 40?
I don't
The
know.
whole classroom?
I mean, most of I don't know. Too many of those kids had the fathers at home. It sounded like most of them lived far away.
And if they did, they were deadbeats on the way out.
That's true.
Or beating their child. Okay, so let's go over the adult themes that we have. We have child abuse.
Sure do.
Pretty passive. Got the weird kid in the class.
A lot
We all
of
make
divorce
fun of him.
talk.
A lot of divorce. A lot of my dad's.
A lot of anatomy.
Yeah, there's two famous quotes. I think men have penis, women have vagina. And that wasn't the kid that was getting sexual abuse at home. His dad was just a gynecologist.
True.
So I guess they're talking about that. But then this one's really funny. At the end of the movie, when John embraces Joyce, they like kiss. One of the kids just goes, they're going to do it.
Oh, yeah.
And these are kindergartners or her class, which may be like second graders.
No, I think it was the kindergartner that said it. Now, you know
the
what?
kindergartner said she's going to do it.
I will say a little animosity. These people just met each other. They just started dating. Their kids.
This is Jim and Joyce.
Yeah, Jim and John and Joyce. Sorry,
John and Joyce.
There's way too much PDA in the hallway right away in front of those kids. You got to keep that out of the class, unless you guys are married.
Joyce left her class
Several
right
times.
away.
Oh, a bunch of times.
She's like, "Vava boom, what is that? Is that an Austrian accent I hear? Is he 6'2", 260?" I know I've made swift bad decisions in the past. Check out my little reject kid I always got to travel
I
with
also
over
do
here.
find this trope crazy from these kind of action movies. It's like, oh, I'm such an innocent girl next door, but yeah, I was married to Rico, this murdering drug dealer. Like, how the fuck would that have happened? There's always
she
that
just
weird
doesn't know how
plot
to
of
pack 'em.
the innocent girl that's like, I didn't know. I just all of a sudden one day I woke up and I was in too deep.
And we don't know what's the bad character's name?
Crisp.
We don't know what Crisp is, except just generic bad guy number one. Does drugs. Him and his mom
he's
do
a drug
sell
trafficker.
drugs.
That's the main crime that Arnold is like, I'm going to get you on drug trafficking. But he seems to just be murdering willy-nilly.
Yeah, at the mall.
Yeah.
At the mall. You may not remember exactly what happens with Crisp. He does get arrested on murder charges because there's a witness. You're going to be like, what happens to that witness? Who is that witness?
Biggest animosity of the movie. Why Arnold should have just stayed with the first character witness he had.
You had the perp.
Yeah.
What did you need to know?
I mean, essentially, they're like, she's a druggie. Her witness or like her character testimony won't stand. But like, you left her for dead. You like harassed her, shot up the place where she was living or hanging out, and then left her for dead.
So they seem like, to me, heroin addicts.
Yeah,
I would assume.
some sort of druggie.
It doesn't seem like crack. It seems like heroin addicts. So Crisp's mom, the grandmother of Joyce and Crisp kid, what's the kid's name?
Dominic.
The kid, grandmother's Dominic murdered. Eleanor.
Wow.
Sold. God. Well, in the magic of editing, you guys, I'm not a name guy. We're going to say Arnold. Anyway, the grandma murdered the witness. Murdered her with poisonous heroin or something. And that's how we got rid of her. I don't even know.
So Dominic's probably going to be super traumatized. We already know that he remembers all the trauma from a child and he has like his laser for it. So
yeah, he's dealing with some tower stuff.
I like how quickly.
Of course that kid's fucked up.
I like how quickly the mom's like, oh, I didn't think you remembered that. But then as soon as Crisp is back, she's like, the bad men are here again. You remember?
The bad men are back.
Like,
Get
you
your
know
go back.
how I'm always
Get out of
warning
here.
about the bad men? How? Of course he remembers. You're always
She's
talking
like,
about
yeah,
it.
it's only every night in my night tears.
Yeah.
Not the bad man, not my laser shit. Gonna be in the woods for a while, dealing with my laser shit. Of course. I don't even feel like John pried at all. It's like, whoa. I do have a quick animosity, and this is again for somebody who just watched a movie like all of us and the listeners.
Right.
When John's going through the house to try to get clues about, I guess, who her ex-husband was, which is Crisp, goes to her underwear drawer looking for stuff, really holds the underwear for a long time, does not close the drawer.
Yeah, I was
He goes through Joyce's underwear drawer.
You know, I was weirded out by the whole search because he's like, I'll be right back. And then he takes a long time just looking. Like, he doesn't even give a good excuse. He's a bad
He's having
cop.
dinner at her house because, again, she's thirsty. Everybody's making bad mistakes. I'll have is he just considered a substitute teacher or a full replacement?
Substitute. Do I need any sort of education to become a kindergartner teacher? Because he was just a cop, and from what I understand, he has no training, and the principal just lets him on. But like, they
lied to her.
But do I need a degree? No, she knows by the end when she knows he's a cop, and she lets him come back to work at the end of the movie. Like, does he need some credentials to be able to do that? Does he need a degree or something? He's just a cop.
You don't think that he's going to be a teacher?
I think he's back. When his partner's like, where should I send the invitation to? It's him being like, I'm moving to Oregon. I'm doing this now.
I thought he was just coming to visit them. It's a little tough to know how it completely ends because it does end in a freeze frame, like movies do from this time.
Do we think that teacher in the background that's just smiling and clapping at those two teachers making out in front of all the kids was that teacher of 25 years? Or
she got fired.
Yeah, she's gone.
No pension. You get the fuck out of here.
That's just yet another sub just filling in.
We've got and this is I believe, the Los Angeles Police Department, right? They're not like FBI. How do we travel state to state?
Oh yeah, they actually.
Are they super narcotics? I don't know what his jurisdiction would even be. I don't have any idea. What's his partner's name?
Phoebe.
I like Phoebe.
Yeah, she's
like
fun.
her she's a weird, quirky character. She does get hit by a car.
She sure does.
She gets real hit by a car. That might be the thing that surprised me the most. I'm like, is she about to just get out in the open, wide open, clear as day, midday lighting, get hit by a car? The answer is yes.
She sure was, but
yes,
don't worry.
She is.
She's okay.
She gets hers. She gets a nice one-liner. You're not so tough when you're not with your car, are you? Just beat the shit out of you with the baseball bat. I just couldn't believe the adult tones really jumped off the page. This might be the most adult PG-13 movie
the one thing
that I remember, because it is packaged like it's just a family-friendly fun film.
I will say, though,
that. It's so much
for
more.
being like just a 90s movie, it didn't age as terribly as I thought it was going to be. There was definitely something with sexual orientation they didn't handle well, just dealing with like Barbies and playtime and stuff and looking up dresses, but it wasn't as offensive as I thought it could have been.
I'll give you the most offensive thing that stood out a little bit. On the first day of school, there's a group of moms talking about the new kindergarten teacher, and they're like, oh, well, he must be gay if he's a kindergarten teacher and single.
Oh yeah, it's a lot of the things to do with sexuality in this movie have aged weird, but a lot of the 90s movies we've done have had harsher language, so I guess it's a kids movie, but happy surprise.
Yeah, it could have been worse. It sure could have been. That's about all I got. Weird movie.
If you're fond of this movie and remember some other takes out of this that you think we should have mentioned, let us know, but we're going to move on to recasting. All right, recasting. I think I have a few more than you, but let's go at the bottom of the totem pole here. Did you have the principal?
I did. I have a really good one. I went Lily Tomlin.
Lily Tomlin. Give me a face here. The name's familiar. I'm blanking.
She's in 9 to 5. She's in the new Frank and Grace movie. Okay. She's a comedian. She's probably in her 90s now, but you know exactly who she is.
I know who you're talking about. I did Mindy Sterling, who plays Frau Farbissina. Go back and see
that's
her
a good
Austin
one.
Powers. I feel like she could just do a fun.
We all went a very similar face and body size.
Did you do an Eleanor, Chris' mother?
Don't have a good one, but off the cuff, I'm gonna go the social worker from Mrs. Doubtfire.
Okay, that works for me.
Just off the cuff, didn't even think of her. I know she plays a big role.
She's the sister of somebody, I think, in real life, but I can't remember.
Very well could be.
I did Kathleen Turner. You would know her as the voice of Monster House, The House, and other things.
Oh, Kathleen Turner, I might have done as the single mom that brings in a pony and a bicycle. Just her sultry voice.
Yeah, I don't know why she wasn't the wife, the Chris wife, because she totally was the one. You know what I mean?
That definitely seemed like Chris' wife, and that would have been my first, second, and third perp.
Oh, 100%. Speaking of which, who'd you have as Crisp?
Okay, I did Michael Rooker. You're going to know him as the blue guy from Guardians of the Galaxy. It was a total voice. It's just that grasping voice.
That works for me.
Toss a ponytail on that guy.
He plays a villain all the time. He
plays the goon, but in big blockbuster
big movies.
Not generic
90s action comedies.
Yeah, but I was going to say stunt show movies. This is a stunt show movie action. I
went the darker version if Ivan Reitman got his way. I did Javier Bardem.
Well, Yeah, I could have. That's obviously way better. That's a better
I was
movie.
also having a problem. I was trying to think of good ponytails, but then I was just like, what am I doing here?
I scoured the internet for ponytails.
Same.
I just couldn't find it. So I went a guy that seems to have been able to play that type of character.
Yeah, yours is better than mine.
Javier Bardem would have been real good.
Who'd
Would
you
have
have as
added quite a bit
Phoebe?
to the role.
Who'd you have as Phoebe, his partner?
Phoebe, two. I either have the more realistic one is Patricia Richardson. She plays the mom from Home Improvement.
Okay.
Or Holly Hunter.
Okay. I see why you're doing that kind of somewhat voice-wise.
Yeah.
Hear me out.
It's a voice thing.
I had two initially. I landed on Melissa McCarthy because it is a comedic role. And she does,
But it's not a straight comedic role.
No, but that's why I also did Tina Fey, because doesn't it seem like she'd be a good substitute teacher too, and just like a by-the-book cop?
Yeah, but she ain't gritty.
Yeah, I know. But
You
that's
can't
why
see her out in the field.
And I'm sticking with Melissa McCarthy.
I actually think, and I rarely do this, I won that category.
No, you're doing pretty good so far. Who'd you have for Joyce, the teacher mother?
So I thought of a lot of generic people.
Arnold's lover.
Something. I went Meg Ryan specifically between like Joe and the Volcano and When Harry Met Sally. Young Meg Ryan before she,
Mine's interesting, and I'm gonna have to explain it. I did Blake Lively, and it's because of her role her role in the town. Where I'm like, oh, she made a mistake and married Chris, but now she's just a teacher. You know what I mean?
Plus, if I'm being honest, as much as I like her and Ryan Reynolds' relationship, she's not the best actress.
No, I don't think so. But I think I like about Blake Lively. I think that works.
Get ready for our episode someday on Adeline.
Maybe.
Adeline.
Last but not least, who'd you have as Kimble?
I went chalk. I thought about it. I could have gone. Well, I'll let you go first because I
did The Rock. I was like, here's who it is nowadays.
I could have done The Rock nowadays, but I thought, how could we make this exact same movie? Let it be Jean-Claude Van Damme. It's pretty much Lionheart.
I mean,
not Lionheart.
In the sequel, we do get Dolph Lundgren.
Yeah, but Jean-Claude Van Damme, he's the muscles from Bustles. He got the accent. He's got the action.
That's true. That would have been a good replacement.
But of course, The Rock is like who it could have been. Let's hear some what ifs.
We do have a lot of what ifs on this one, actually. So these were all for the role of John Kimble. Bill Murray was up for it. Patrick Swayze, Jack Nicholson, Danny DeVito, Chuck Norris, Kurt Russell, and Robin Williams.
All those make sense because this is just a generic movie. Hey, this is a family-friendly movie. Let's get a star in here and let's crank it out for like $10 million or whatever.
Which one do you want the most? Swayze? Me too. I want to see Swayze version.
100%. That is a good movie, maybe. The Swayze's got the perfect temperament for me.
Also up for the role of Crisp, Christian Slater was considered, but he turned it down because he didn't want to get typecast as just a villain all the time.
So he just stopped making movies in general.
Sure did. And finally, Elijah Wood auditioned for the child actor, but he said it was the worst audition he ever had.
Well, I don't think he missed out on it. Would he have made the movie better? Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, he would have. I don't think... Here's Cameron as my take on kids actors. As long as they don't pull you down from the movie, it worked. Sometimes they can elevate the movie, but that's...
You don't always get a Finding Neverland. But you know what? Pretty short cast. Let's move it on to Mount Rushmore.
Top four.
Mount Rushmore. Top 4.
Mount Rushmore Top 4. This week, we're doing action stars making a departure into family-friendly movies. Jordan, you're going to go first. What's your top one?
This one's kind of, maybe. Sure. Maybe it isn't. I'm going to go Sylvester Stallone.
Okay.
And you're going to be like, did Sly make a family-friendly movie? Yeah, it's called Over the Top, where he's that truck driver with his son. It's a weird movie. Arm wrestling. Yeah,
also,
it's a departure.
Also, he's like in one of the Spy Kids, I think, or is one of the like...
I mean, I'm sure he's got some cameos, but Over the Top is family-friendly enough for me that it's a departure. That was not a straight action movie.
I get that.
He's a dad in it in some capacity.
Do you know what that just reminded me of that I wasn't going to say, but I'll save it for the end here. My number one is, well, really number two, but the one that always like struck me is like, wow, this is a departure. When Vin Diesel did The Pacifier. That's
what Megan shouted out. I think it's probably just because Arnold wasn't making movies
anymore. Was just such a big shock because he was doing nothing but Triple X and like Fast and Furious and just didn't see it coming.
I'm going to go with, obviously, The Rock.
You have a couple options here. Which one are you going to choose?
Well, it's the Tooth Fairy.
Okay. You also have...
Go ahead.
You also have The Game Plan as an option.
It's weird.
And And there, I think it's maybe
Something-
one more too before he started just doing popcorn movies.
Something happened with The Rock where he was pretty much on the Arnold Schwarzenegger trajectory. But then we all agreed he's charismatic and funny enough that he can do what he wants now. And he's maybe our biggest comedic star with Kevin Hart.
Well, we also
Nobody
found
makes
out he works
comedies
well
anymore.
with Kevin Hart. And we're like, let's keep that going.
He got Buddy Cop. I don't know what the Hulk did. Hulk Hogan.
He had Mr. Well, let's finish it out here. What's your
Okay.
what are our last ones here?
So I didn't have a good one. This was kind of a tougher list than I thought. So like John Cena probably has some, but I don't give a shit about John Cena. So I'm going to go Jackie Chan.
Okay, he does have one or two options, I think.
Yeah. So I went Jackie Chan. His style of action really is family friendly, even though it's more buddy cop in a lot of it. But he does some family friendliness. I guess he's the Mr. Miyagi in the reboot of.
True, but then I mean that was just a reboot though.
Yeah.
Just to get that John Cena one, I'm gonna fill out the number 4 spot with Playing with Fire. John Cena, it was him trying to get out of wrestling and into acting, and you know what?
worked.
I really do like him on
This new show where he's a superhero.
Shit, and why can't I think of what it's called? Peacemaker. I actually am a pretty big fan of Peacemaker. It's funny. He won me over, so I do like John Cena. Now just some honorable mentions to fill it out here. We were saying it a second ago, but Mr. Nanny with the Hulk. I've actually never seen it, but I mean that's up there pretty high on the list. And then more recently, David Bautista. He started with My Spy getting into the acting game.
Oh yeah, David Bautista did kind of make the crossover. That's for sure. As far as action stars, and it's a little bit different from them because he's not as bulky, but did cross over to not family-friendly films, but more mainstream and comedic roles and worked really well. Jason Statham.
Oh, that's
He's up
actually
there for
true.
me.
He was on the list for a few things, but it was just kind of a wild card.
It was
Bruce
kinda
Willis
different.
also had Raising Mercury.
Oh yeah, he really did move into. I mean, he had
The Kid. Yeah, he had a few different
He had
things.
a lot of family-friendly ones towards like the middle part of his career. You know who actually, and this is weird when we came up with this category, action stars that kind of crossed over into family-friendly movies. The closest comparison I could come to is not an action star, but a comedic star. It's really closer to Robin Williams. This could have been the reason he was up for this. This could have been a Robin Williams movie.
I kind of get what you're saying.
Arnold Schwarzenegger could have been in Jack. There's a lot of crossovers. Hey, we just need a guy that people are going to sit and watch.
I kind of get what
We
you're saying.
know they
there, yeah.
started in comedy. We know they started as whatever the fuck Arnold was,
Action.
Mr. Universe in action. It doesn't matter what the movie is. This is PG, PG-13. Come sit down and watch these two. And they pull it off.
True.
I guess is the difference. The only difference is I think that Robin Williams really could do Terminator 1 or 2. And I don't think that Arnold could probably do the same amount of comedies.
No, not at all. So that was our take on action stars moving over to family friendly. And that was our take on Kindergarten Cop. If you like what you heard, make sure you like and subscribe on your favorite podcast app. And as always, thanks for listening. We're just a grassroots podcast, so rating, review, all that good stuff does help us. And make sure you check out all the good stuff from the Majestic Jam Network. I'm Not Crazy, the Urban Hermit, and we'll catch you on the next one.
Bye.